Develop your skills, exercise 01, development 03, entering text. What we're going to be doing here is just starting the very basics, the extreme fundamentals of a worksheet, just laying out a label and some titles, really simple stuff, most of which can be done just by using a lot of the things that we learned in the previous lesson, just by navigating the worksheet. We're going to open up Excel, and we're going to start in cell A1. Once we're in cell A1, we're going to add the title, Service Employees Weekend Hours Worked. Now remember, as soon as we're done, since we haven't clicked up here in the formula bar, if we press Enter or Tab, left, right, up, or down, it's going to leave this box and commit the text. We'll just press right. You'll notice also that the text goes across A, B, C, D, and a little bit in E. But even though we're on B, there's nothing here. Nor is there on C, nor is there on D or E. Here's why. When we're on A and we type a large amount of text that doesn't fit in box A, it's going to keep printing the text just so long as it has room to do so off to the right. We haven't actually entered anything in cell B, C, D, or E yet. If we do, it will stop allowing cell A to claim the area that other cells are using. Here's what I mean. Just type the letter A in cell B. Once we've committed that, cell A becomes very strict. It only keeps the text we've entered only in cell A, and we have to move over the cell to see that it's all still there. Once we get rid of B, it moves everything that was in A back across. Here's why that happens. This isn't a Word program, so it assumes that any notes you're adding are either going to be a title, and we'll cover how to make titles more appropriately sized and less invasive in later lessons, or it assumes that you're just adding a quick note. Typically in Excel, a single cell will have no more than one sentence for any given circumstance, unless we're doing a large formula, and then the rules are very different. Then it doesn't function like a Word document or text at all. We'll cover more on that later, but for now, let's just finish up the service hours and employees worked here. Moving over to cell B1 is nothing. Good. We want nothing there. Cell A is all we need. We're going to move over to cell C3 and start adding the labels for the X and Y columns of a simple table that we're going to set up. For cell C3, Friday. For cell D3, Wednesday. And for cell E3, Sunday. Now, for those of you who are paying very close attention, you may have noticed that Wednesday is not between Friday and Sunday, nor is it part of the weekend, nor does it belong on a weekend hours sheet. You're going to make mistakes, and even though this mistake is very obvious and not one that, without the help of autocorrect, you would likely ever make by yourself, you will make the occasional mistake. Remember, you don't need to go in there and select it and then come up here and click and cover everything. Just select the cell and type what you need. Saturday. When you hit Enter, Tab, up, down, left, or right, bam, there we go. The reason I say Enter, Tab, up, down, left, or right, Enter, when you are done typing in a cell, will move down, and it does commit everything in the cell, even if it's a formula. If you use Tab, Tab goes one to the right. It also commits everything in that specific area to the cell and says, okay, we may as well have pressed Enter and said, you're good to go. Remember, just backspace or delete to clear the cell. Now that we have the basics in here, we have our title, we have the 3 days that we'll be considering for weekend hours. Now we just need to fill in all of the different, entries to label the different rows in this sheet. As shown on page 10 of your book, first is Alton Mall. We're going to be working with Representatives Barnes, Chow, and remember, in this case, Enter or pressing the down key will give you the same thing after you've entered one of their names. Lee and Olson. Once we're done, total hours. And then on to the next censure. We've cleaned Alton Mall. Let's see how cleaning's going for Century Bank. I've just pressed down and right. I zip right on over. Now, you'll notice that when I started typing here, I get this piece of text in darker gray. That's autocomplete. That means Excel has seen something directly above this that is, so far, exactly the same. Usually, when you're making a big list, there's going to be a couple of redundant entries, especially when you come to things like totals or final amounts, when you're going through a large profit projection or a large expense sheet. Every section ends with that different total. Rather than type the exact same thing every time, Excel's asking you, hey, I couldn't help but notice that so far, this is exactly like an entry above. Do you want me to just make it the same? Well, in this case, yes, we're going to enter total hours for all the places we're working. It's usually going to give you your autocomplete after 2 letters. It'll match the 2 letters, and then from letters 3 and on, if multiple entries above start with more than the same 2 letters, it'll just go alphabetically. In this case, TO is only for total hours, so we just say, oh yeah, that's what we need, Excel. Hit enter, and we're good. If we keep typing TOTAL space HRS, it's just going to kind of let us fill it in. And if we come over here and we keep typing and it was something different, total minutes, the moment we get to something new, it clears it all out and says, whatever, you're on your own. We'll cover autofill and autocomplete a little bit more later, but for now, if you know that you're going to be entering something that is the exact same as any entry above it, give it the first 2 letters and see if it agrees with you, and then tab or enter makes that permanent. It says enter the text, I'll come back and fix it if not. Up one last place, Newport, medical, and there we go. All 3 locations, the representatives for those locations, the days of the week, and the title. The graph hasn't been beautified. It doesn't really look like something that would catch the eye. No color or formatting yet, but the important part is that the data's here. When we're working with Excel, always be sure that you've got your data first. It's actually easiest to use data, usually in screens like this, at least I have found. When you're entering numbers and you're entering labels and you're entering data, stick with a simpler worksheet at first. You may want to center a few titles, but when you're working with the nuts and bolts, the numbers and the math on any of your spreadsheets, before you do a whole bunch of coloring and font and text and sizing and everything, just focus on the basics, which is what we'll be doing here. Right now, we have the basic sheets. Now, we just need to enter the hours, which we will do in the next exercise.